The question of legacy and what we have seen since his freshman year at Tennessee 20 years ago. David Cutliffe was there then. He's the coach of Duke now, but back in the day he was the Volunteers offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, and he was the Ole Miss head coach when Eli Manning played there. We welcome him. It's good to have you all here. Coach Cut, you think back more than 20 years to that kid you recruited out of the Garden District, and you look at this fully formed American iconic hero. What are the first things that come to your mind?
Well, I tell you, the first time I saw him throw at Tennessee, I was actually walking in our indoor facility in summertime, and you're not coaching him during that time. And he was down there throwing some routes with a receiver. And the thing that you just knew you saw something different. So I honestly tell people I'm not surprised 20 years later.
Huh. After all these years, David, it would be not unusual to have a personal bond, but you still have a professional bond with Peyton. Of course, he came down for the camps at rehab and also early this year. Why is that? Why is that bond so strong through all these years?
You know, it's hard to explain it. I talked with him 2 nights ago, about 45 minutes on the phone. And my wife, when we start on the phone, she just disappears. You know, there's a bond from a football communication standpoint. And I know his roots, I guess. You know, I started watching him play as a junior in high school. And that first real quarterback mentor, it really doesn't ever go away. And we speak a language, a terminology that he and I share. And it's unique, it's fun, and you know, I've always tried to build our programs off relationships, but this was one that's been unique to say the least.
David, you worked very closely with Peyton when he had his greatest professional challenge, which was coming back from the neck operations. Came down to Duke, wanted to reestablish and see what he could do. What was that like for him? Because there were moments, I mean, he was your house guest and you were driving him back and forth, certainly to the practice field. What were those moments like when there was self-doubt?
I think from a rehab standpoint, physically and in the throwing motion, I really don't think that compared to the conversation rehabilitation. You know, we're close enough that he could talk from his heart. You know, was he making a mistake doing this? Bob mentioned his feelings about Indianapolis. That was really, really, really difficult to even decide if he even wanted to bother playing somewhere else when it was obvious he couldn't stay in Indianapolis. But Darren, you're right and Bob's right. And I will say this about the most difficult thing to talk about in Peyton Manning's legacy for a football club is whether his contributions off the field aren't greater than the ones on the field physically. And the thing that I would say to the Denver Broncos as they approach a huge game Sunday, he makes the defense better. Everyone there is held accountable, and no one is held as accountable as he holds himself. But defensively, I've seen, and Bob, you may disagree, but at Indianapolis, the defense grew around him. Sometimes professional athletes get tired of hearing about another singular player, but I can promise you they got better defensively. The Broncos will learn that, hopefully sooner than later, that if Peyton struggles or he gets injured or he has an ankle, which he's had this year, it's your time to step up. You've prepared well. Everyone prepares better when Peyton Manning joins a team.
We got about 30 seconds, David. I know the opening Thursday of this past season, you're trying to get some sleep. You've watched the opening game. Peyton goes off with a record touchdown production, and you started getting texts at, what, 3 in the morning?
Yes, he was fired up. You know, he forgets that time zone change. So he's a little harder on me in Denver than he was in Indy. But I'm okay with that. You know, he's the one guy that if somebody wants to text me at 3 o'clock in the morning, it better be Peyton Manning.
Talking about the way he carved that defense to shreds, certainly with the help that he developed from you over the years. David Cutliffe, congratulations on a great year at Duke. Thank you for your time today. We appreciate it. Woody, always good to see you. Bob Kravitz, appreciate you joining us today outside the lines.
Thank you.